Well, we need Greenland for national security purposes. I've been told that for a long time, long before I even ran. I mean, people have been talking about it for a long time. You have approximately 45,000 people there. People really don't even know if Denmark has any legal right to it. But if they do, they should give it up because we need it for national security. That's for the free world. I'm talking about protecting the free world. You look at, you don't even need binoculars. You look outside, you have China ships all over the place. You have Russian ships all over the place. We're not letting that happen.
I love the art of the deal here where it's just like, you guys should just give it up. Like, it's close to us. It's ours now. Just don't even worry about it anymore, Denmark. Awesome. Nate Hochman is here. He's the executive director of America 2100. Nate, how you doing, brother?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
So another reason I love Trump so much in this moment is I was never thinking about Greenland. I mean, I know he talked about it when he was president the first time, and I think we laughed about it and maybe made a couple points about it, but then forgot about it. But now he brings it up again. And you're like, oh yeah, like we definitely should have this. This is ridiculous. And I love that. So why do you think it would be good for us in the world to have Greenland?
Yeah, you know, Trump has this uncanny ability to do this. He's done this since he entered politics, where he'll say these things and they sound totally out of left field and insane to people when they're first introduced because no one else is talking about it. And over the course of the next few years, people start to sort of catch up with what he was saying, and it seems less and less crazy. So when Trump was talking about it in 2019, it was kind of people treated it as a joke. Even people who were pro-Trump treated it as kind of a little tongue-in-cheek. He tweeted out the funny photo of the Trump Tower in Greenland, said, I promise I won't do this to Greenland. And the Danish who own Greenland, treated it as a joke. They said the prime minister called it absurd. But now we're talking about it as a pretty serious geopolitical move because Greenland actually is really coveted territory for national security reasons, for the natural resources they have. And both China and Russia are competing for Greenland as well, right as Greenland is thinking about declaring their independence from Denmark in a referendum this year, which means they're essentially up for grabs. So all of a sudden, over the course of the last few years, it's moved from something that was a little tongue-in-cheek, maybe not 100% serious, to something that people are seriously talking about doing now.
I'm glad you brought up China. The Hillsdale professor we were talking about a minute ago, it's not this utopian choice between empire or no empire, it's which empire. And as China continues to be more of a grab everywhere, including Greenland, do we want them to have it or us? What are the, let's talk, well, like why? Like why do they want it? Why does anyone want it?
Well, one thing is that Greenland has access, on this gigantic landmass, which is mostly uninhabited except for the coasts. They have enormous natural resources, critical minerals, the kinds of things that power everything from the iPhone in your hand to fighter jets to, computers, et cetera. Like there are these critical minerals, which in the technological age where everything is digitized, they really are the key to everything. They power everything. And this is a huge advantage that China has had over the US over the last couple of decades because they have so much of the world's critical mineral supply. Greenland has a substantial amount. Obviously, it's not as much as China, but they have something like 10% of the world's critical minerals. So having secured that, having access to that would be a huge strategic advantage to bringing the U.S. a little closer to parity with China. The other thing is these Arctic shipping lanes. Regardless of what you think about, all the political, debates over climate change and whatnot, it is true that for one reason or another, these Arctic shipping lanes have gotten wider in recent years. And that means that it's going to open up increasingly over the next decade or two, much bigger shipping lanes. And controlling the shipping lanes means you control the global economy. So Greenland has increasingly become a strategic, important area. And that's why China and Russia are trying to encroach on it.
Our next guest, we're going to talk, he's a logistics expert. So we'll talk more about that. But it ties in also with Panama Canal. So both like Greenland and Panama Canal, they're like the same thing when it comes to the shipping. And we're just letting China take control over these two things. And that is like existentially insane. Tell us more about these. And I just, the more we talk about it, the more it's like, oh, like this is urgent. Like this is, we got to do this yesterday. This is such a big deal. Now, what are the chances it could happen? Why would Denmark let go of it? why does Greenland want to not be part of Denmark? Why would they choose us as if, we're pretending they have a choice here, right? We'll go down that road. But why would they choose us over Denmark?
Well, yeah, I mean, to clarify to the point about them really pretending to have a choice, like they do need a superpower to support them. Greenland's economy is not self-sufficient. It's essentially fishing and a little bit of tourism and a little bit of natural resources. Denmark basically props up the Greenland economy with ridiculous amounts of grants every single year, and they provide for the military defense. It is, it's an extension of Denmark, and they rely on the Danes for economic sufficiency. So the Greenland people have wanted to be independent of Denmark for some time. I think the polls show it's like 2/3 of the people living in Greenland, which is, a very, very small population, want to be independent of Denmark. And the prime minister is pro-independent, so they're probably going to have a referendum on it this year, which means they'd be voting on going independent. But if they do go independent, they need another kind of benefactor to take them into their sphere of influence and provide them the kind of support that the Danes provided them. And it makes a lot of sense for it to be the U.S. I don't think we should make them the 51st state, but we could make them a territory or bring them into our sphere of influence, and they would benefit from that. They need a wealthy, powerful benefactor like us to provide them those things, and we would benefit from it too, for all the reasons we were just talking about.
Yeah, that's right. That's such a good point. There is no... I thought there would be like a third option where they stay independent, but you're like, that's not an option. There is no independent Greenland. There's 50,000 people there. Like, it can't be its own country in a real way. Okay, that's really good to know. Okay, so I was trying to think about this the other day, and there has to be something. What would be the negative of us doing this? What's the con? What's the counter argument?
Well, there's plenty of negatives to making Greenland the 51st state. I think that would be an imprudent decision. And I think most of the people talking about this, including President Trump, don't want to make it the 51st state.
Yeah,
but if we did
Puerto
that,
Rico. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You've got 2 senators from Greenland. They're probably going to be left-wing because, the Greenlanders are from Denmark, which is a pretty left-wing country in and of itself. They've got government-run healthcare, all kinds of other stuff. They would not be, I think, in the mold of sort of American conservatives. So that would be a loss for conservatives to have that kind of political representation. And it would be kind of absurd to have this mostly uninhabited island of something like 50,000 people get 2 senators in the U.S. Senate, right, and a congressman. That would be kind of ridiculous. But making them a territory, like we've done for a variety of other territories over the last couple centuries, makes a good deal of sense. I guess you could make an argument against it on sort of fiscal grounds that it would cost too much. But, the American government spends an extraordinary amount of money every single year. And the kind of money that we would be spending on Greenland would really be a drop in the bucket compared to the stuff that we spend on, any number of other things. And it would give us a real return on the investment. So I think the fiscal argument that it's too expensive is not a good argument. We'd get way more out of it than we'd have to spend on it. But I do think there's a strong argument against making it a state for all the reasons we talked about.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the best argument I can make against it too. But no one's like, we spend too much on American Samoa. So I don't think that'd be a big problem. Nate Hochman, Executive Director of America 2100. Where can people follow you and learn more about your group?
You can follow me at NJ Hochman, NJHOCHMAN, and America_2100 is our group.
Beautiful. Nate, keep it up, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.